Victoria Sterling gave her male secretary a watch worth $1 million. The male secretary posted it on his social media, bragging, "Hard work pays off. A persistent heart will never be let down. I'll keep pushing forward." My queen Marcus Bell forwarded this post to me. I then forwarded it to Victoria Sterling. $1 million is pocket change. How many millions does President Sterling consider a lot of money? Over 10 million, perhaps. Transfer $20 million to me within 1 minute. Mark it as a voluntary gift. Victoria Sterling sent a message, "Don't be ridiculous, husband." A minute later, she received a video. In the video, I smashed the antique vase her first love had given her, worth exactly $20 million. Chapter 1. Victoria Sterling called me immediately. "Do you know how expensive that vase was? What exactly do you want?" Victoria Sterling, was my message not clear enough? I glanced at the watch on my wrist. "You have 34 seconds left. I'm standing right in front of that antique painting in your bedroom. You know what happens next." The call was immediately disconnected. 20 seconds later, $20 million appeared in my bank account. I sent her a photo. It showed her favorite antique painting, now torn into shreds scattered across the floor. The vase was a warning. "The painting is a punishment. Victoria Sterling, you are a married woman." This time, Victoria didn't call back. She didn't even send another message. I knew she must be furious, but I didn't care. Marriages between wealthy families are always tied to benefits. If love blossoms, that's fortunate for both parties. If not, it's perfectly normal. My situation with Victoria Sterling was mixed. Neither of us disliked the other upon first meeting, but we couldn't say we liked each other either. This set the tone for our marriage. Our union initially had no emotional foundation. After the grand wedding ceremony, we slept in separate rooms on our wedding night, even wishing each other good night before bed. It wasn't until nearly half a year into the marriage that we finally slept together, using alcohol to mask our inhibitions. The Sterlings were old money, an established family with a scholarly background. They did everything by the book, which cultivated Victoria's outwardly cold but inwardly passionate personality. The Clark family, on the other hand, came from the rougher side of society. My father, Robert Clark, fought his way up with fists, bricks, and blades. We didn't have the Sterling stifling rules. We were direct, bold, and straightforward. So I never believed in love at first sight. It was clear that Victoria and I grew to love each other over time. I love Victoria, and Victoria loves me. But we are both very rational. We wouldn't put our love for each other first, but we wouldn't place it too far down the list either. This time, that pretty boy clearly crossed a line. His blatant flaunting grated on my nerves. I don't allow anyone to covet what's mine, not even a glance. But I also know that the more you suppress something, the more vigorously it tends to flourish. Like Victoria. Chapter 2. That evening, Victoria sent me a message. "Have a business dinner tonight. Won't be home for dinner." I didn't reply, focusing on my own matters. Around 8 p.m., my friend Harry Miller sent me a photo. The background appeared to be some sort of business dinner. Sitting next to Victoria Sterling was a young, clean-cut man. The pretty boy was obviously dressed up. His hair shone as if licked by a calf. He had that handsome, sunny disposition, the type Victoria liked to watch in short videos. "What's going on? Why did your wife bring a toy boy like this to a dinner party? Trouble in paradise." At the same time, a message arrived from Marcus Bell. The male secretary had posted on social media again, attending a high-end banquet, feeling one step closer to my ideal life, thanks to a great guide by my side. The accompanying picture was a selfie of the pretty boy. He smiled with composed confidence, his eyes glinting with ambition. The $1 million watch on his wrist was exceptionally glaring. Behind him, willingly acting as a backdrop, Victoria watched him take the selfie. A barely perceptible curve touched her lips, but the indulgent look in her eyes clearly revealed her inner thoughts. I remembered the previous female secretary, fired on the spot by Victoria merely for replying to a work message during a business dinner. But now Victoria not only tolerated this pretty boy's selfie, but willingly appeared in it, using her status as president to boost his value. She wasn't unaware that my buddy was at the table. Her audacity stemmed from the fact that earlier today, because of that damn $1 million watch, I had smashed her antique vase and torn up the expensive painting she had acquired. She knew I would find out she brought another man to the dinner. She also knew I would inevitably see the pretty boy's social media post. Yet, she did it anyway, even indulging his transgression purely to get back at me. Unfortunately for her, when it came to revenge, the entire Sterling family combined couldn't hold a candle to my little finger. I sent Victoria a message, the person sitting next to you. Don't you think you owe me an explanation? 5 minutes passed. No reply from Victoria. I messaged Harry, did my wife check her phone? Harry replied instantly. She looked at her phone but didn't reply. Did you call her out? I sent another message to Victoria, reply. I know you saw my message. This message too vanished without a trace. Victoria remained silent. I'm giving you one last chance. If I don't see your message in 10 seconds, you'll face the consequences. 10 seconds later, I sent her a photo. Victoria replied instantly, Sincere Clark. What the hell are you doing? Simultaneously, Harry's message came through. Holy crap, what did you send your wife? Her face turned completely white. I've never seen anyone look so pale, like death warmed over. I sent Harry a smirking emoji. Get ready for a good show. The photo I sent Victoria was of an old yellowed pink envelope, clearly treasured for many years. It was a love letter written to Victoria in high school by her first love, Daniel Hayes. That boy had died saving her, pushing her out of the way only to be hit and killed instantly by a speeding dump truck. This love letter was the last thing he left her. She cherished it more than her own life. I suddenly realized her new secretary bore a faint resemblance to that first love. So President Sterling was playing the substitute game. She was treating this new secretary as a stand-in for her first love. Seeing I hadn't replied, Victoria messaged again. Don't touch it. Even the punctuation in this message radiated panic and fear. She was clearly terrified for that letter. Victoria Sterling, call me. This time she was obedient. The call came through immediately. Her voice was low. Don't be ridiculous, husband. Can't we talk about this when I get home? Put me on speaker. What exactly do you want? I said. Put me on speaker. Victoria had no choice but to comply. My apologies for interrupting everyone, but I heard our President Sterling brought a newcomer to the dinner party today. So, I just wanted to call and confirm. Victoria's voice was laced with tension. Husband, it's not what you think. We just have a normal supervisor-subordinate relationship. Please don't misunderstand. Is that so? What kind of president gives her secretary $1 million watch? Victoria Sterling, I don't care what your relationship is, but right now I want you to pick up that dish in front of you and dump it on his head. You can refuse, but you'll bear the consequences. Chapter 3. That day, Ethan Davies fled the dinner party covered head to toe in piping hot chili. All evening, Harry Miller bombarded me with messages. Buddy, I owe you dinner for this show. Oh my God, your wife doesn't hold back. That chili was just served, still steaming hot. This pretty boy isn't part of some game you two play, right? This incident will be all over town by tomorrow. If I were him, I'd want to die. Buddy, can't you teach me your techniques for managing your wife? I replied casually. It's simple. Don't care about her, and you'll naturally have her under control. Harry's enthusiasm clearly waned. Forget it then. I can't do that. Of course he couldn't. He and his wife were childhood sweethearts. They started making out in middle school and, after all these years, still called each other cutesy nicknames in public, much to everyone else's annoyance. By the way, your wife looked really grim all night. Is she going to fight you when she gets back? Fight? You think she dares? Harry sent a "You're awesome" message and went silent. Half an hour later, Victoria stormed back home. She burst into the bedroom, ripped the covers off me, her eyes blazing. Where are my things? I lay there, arms crossed behind my head, staring straight at her without a word. Sincere Clark, where are my things? I continued to stare, still silent. After about a minute of standoff, she crumbled, slumping onto the bed. I did what you asked. I was completely humiliated tonight. I'm lucky he didn't call the cops on me. What more do you want? Am I the one who humiliated you? Don't you think you owe me an explanation? After an uncomfortable silence, Victoria finally spoke. He's just a recent university graduate. There's really nothing going on between us. What do I have to say for you to believe me? Victoria Sterling, believing you isn't about what you say, it's about what you do. $1 million might not be much to you, but for an ordinary family, they might never earn that much in their entire lifetime. I don't believe you don't understand that. You casually gave $1 million watch to another man today. Why would you think I wouldn't care? I just saw him looking downcast and blaming himself for not doing his job well. I just wanted to cheer him up, so I gave him the watch on impulse. I really have no other intentions towards him. Money that an ordinary family might never earn in a lifetime, you just casually gave away. Do you realize what kind of inappropriate ideas an impulsive act like that might plant in his head? $1 million might mean nothing to you, but can you possibly be unaware of the impact it has on a young man just entering the workforce? If it weren't for your indulgence, would he have posted that on social media? Did he not know I would see it? You took him to the dinner party, letting him take my place. What do you think outsiders will say? What am I supposed to think? Did you consider any of this? He took selfies at the dinner. Not only did you not stop him, but you willingly served as his backdrop. At that moment, did you think I would let you be humiliated at that same dinner? When previous secretaries made mistakes, you fired them directly. Why didn't you fire him this time? It was your indulgence that gave him the courage to provoke me. It was your differential treatment that made him harbor improper thoughts. I peeled back the layers of her hidden motives. Step by step, I looked at this secretary's resume. He's not qualified to be your secretary at all. The only reason you hired him is because he looks like that first love who saved your life. Victoria Sterling, you're reminiscing. You're trying to find spiritual solace in a substitute. You want to recapture the time you spent with your deceased first love, don't you? Victoria fell silent, the atmosphere around her dropping to sub-zero. Victoria Sterling, look at me. She looked up, meeting my gaze directly. I cupped her face, pressing a hard kiss onto her lips. I love you. Now tell me, do you love me? Her voice choked. I do. I took the yellowed envelope from the nearby drawer. I didn't get to be part of your past, but I don't want to miss your future. I gently placed the envelope in her hand. I love you, so I won't touch your most cherished past. But please don't ever make me hate you, okay? Color slowly returned to Victoria's face. She flipped over, pinning me to the bed, biting my lip like a she-wolf. I squeezed her backside hard, her involuntary moan driving me wilder. I ripped her clothes open, flipped her over, my burning chest pressing down on her. Taking back control, I entered her forcefully, my eyes never leaving her face. Victoria Sterling, this is the first time and the last time. Victoria clung tightly to my neck. I promise it will never happen again. Chapter 4. Ethan Davies became the office joke. Normally, all external reception and business liaison duties were scheduled by the assistant department. Whoever was on duty accompanied Victoria to various events and assisted her. But ever since Ethan Davies was promoted to secretary by Victoria against protocol, that schedule disappeared. Ethan permanently dominated the roster. Ethan didn't show up for work the next day. When Marcus Bell presented the disciplinary action form for his absence to Victoria, she signed it without hesitation. This signaled to everyone in the company that the pretty boy's days of favor were over. People in the company were sharp. Reading the room was a basic skill. Marcus Bell transferred Ethan out of the assistant department and assigned him to menial tasks in reception. When Victoria was in the office, he wasn't even allowed to be visible at the front desk. Along with his position, his salary and benefits plummeted. The drastic drop in income and status led everyone in the company to speculate about the reasons behind it. Business banquets were typically attended by me, the legitimate husband. But now this newly appointed secretary had replaced me, accompanying Victoria. Rumors had already been swirling throughout the company. Everyone knew their boss's husband held grudges, but no one expected me to be so ruthless, leaving the pretty boy with absolutely no face, even forcing the president to dump a bowl of chili over his head in front of everyone. Before this incident, some in the company had even speculated that the pretty boy might become the next person sharing the president's pillow. But after this, all such rumors vanished like farts in the wind. Now, there was only one sentiment in the company: anyone coveting the boss's husband's place would meet a miserable end. Ethan Davies became the target of ridicule for everyone in the company. Some employees even loudly discussed the bowl of chili the president had dumped on his head right in front of him. I've always been one to hold grudges. Since you coveted what was rightfully mine, you had to bear the consequences of that desire. So, under my instruction, Marcus Bell submitted a request to the HR department to terminate Ethan Davies. The HR manager didn't dare object, immediately signing off on it and promptly issuing the termination notice, telling Ethan Davies to get lost. But I had underestimated Ethan Davies' skills. I never expected Victoria would talk to him about her first love. She hadn't even told me much about that part of her past. When Ethan came to the office the next day to collect his belongings, he deliberately wore slim-fit pants and colorful sneakers, looking sickeningly sunny. When he bumped into Victoria in the elevator, holding his box of belongings, before she could even ask, his shattered gaze completely broke through her most vulnerable defenses. In the office, a silent Ethan Davies stood behind Victoria, watching with a smug look as Marcus Bell faced the full force of Victoria's fury. I pay your salary, and you turn around and use the authority I gave you against my people? Have you lost your mind? Marcus Bell remained composed. President Sterling, who are your people? Realizing her slip of the tongue, Victoria didn't want to dwell on it. You're fired. Don't bother coming in tomorrow. Pack your things and get out now. Ethan will take your place. That night, for the first time, Victoria unleashed her fury on me. What right do you have to drive him away? Because of some baseless suspicion. What are you afraid of? Are you jealous that he's younger than you? Don't think just because you're my husband you can do whatever you want in my family's company. This targeted attack has crossed my line. She grabbed a nearby vase and smashed it at my feet, then turned and walked away. Sincere Clark, you've truly disappointed me. The door slammed shut with a loud bang, signifying her intense anger. I watched her leave, expressionless, then calmly found a relatively sharp shard of the broken vase on the floor. Gripping the shard, I slashed a deep gash across my own arm. Blood trickled down, forming a thin line, pooling at my fingertip before dripping onto the floor, creating a grimly beautiful splatter. Victoria Sterling, since you've turned hostile, I won't be polite anymore. Chapter 5. At the Sterling family estate, I arrived looking like I meant business, my hand heavily wrapped in gauze. Arthur Sterling paced back and forth in the living room, his frustration palpable, a storm brewing in his eyes. Eleanor Sterling sat beside me, looking at my bandaged arm with pity, her eyes filled with reproach for her daughter. An hour earlier, after getting my wound treated at the hospital, I had driven straight to Victoria's parents' house. I bluntly told my father-in-law and mother-in-law that their precious daughter had turned against me for a secretary who resembled her first love. Not only had she publicly defended the secretary at the company, but she had also brought him to a dinner party to humiliate me. And today, just because I fired that secretary, she had allegedly slashed my arm and screamed insults at me. As I said this, my eyes conveyed profound disappointment, my expression a mixture of dejection and hurt. This amplified the elderly couple's anger towards their daughter. Arthur immediately called Victoria. I don't care whose pants you're hiding under right now. Get your ass back here immediately if you're not standing in front of me in half. An hour, don't ever bother coming back. Eleanor looked at my hand with heartfelt concern, her eyes red, as if afraid I might bolt at any moment. She kept murmuring comforting words, assuring me repeatedly that Victoria would be made to apologize today, and that I wouldn't suffer the slightest grievance. I nodded calmly, remaining silent, but my mind was already scheming how to escalate the situation. To ignore my own advantages and compete fairly with the pretty boy who had nothing? I wasn't that foolish. An excellent businessman knows how to strategically leverage available resources to achieve victory. I was Victoria Sterling's husband, protected by law, backed by my influential in-laws, connected through inseparable joint business ventures between our families, and possessed the financial power to crush the pretty boy. Why would I discard these advantages to compete based on who was younger, or who more closely resembled Victoria's dead first love? Most importantly, my father, Robert Clark, was stubborn. If you dared to cross him, he wouldn't rest until he destroyed you. Today, I just wanted Victoria to concede defeat. I didn't want to become a widower so soon. So, I firmly declined my father's offer to intervene. A nuclear weapon's purpose is deterrence. This conventional conflict doesn't require your involvement. If I lose tonight, it means the Sterlings aren't worth my attachment anymore. Then you can step in. Whatever you do, I won't stop you. And so my father, sharpening his knives, retreated behind the curtain, becoming a tiger waiting for the signal. Half an hour later, the villa door opened, and Victoria walked in, her face etched with frost. Seeing her, I couldn't suppress a smirk, almost laughing out loud. That foolish woman, Victoria, had actually brought Ethan Davies back with her. Chapter 6. Upon entering, Victoria sensed the heavy atmosphere in the villa, and the frost on her face thawed slightly. "Dad, I was in a meeting. What's so urgent that I had to be called back right now?" Arthur snorted coldly. "What kind of meeting are you having at this hour? Don't you have time for meetings during the day? Why meet late at night? Who are you meeting with? Tell me, I'll verify it." Victoria fell silent. She hadn't expected her father to call her bluff on such a flimsy excuse. She wasn't in a meeting at all. She had been having dinner with Ethan Davies. His social media post had completely exposed her whereabouts. I had already shown that post of their dinner together to her parents. In front of an outsider, Arthur showed his daughter no mercy. "Speak up, why the sudden silence? Where's the spirit you had when you supposedly hit your husband?" "I hit him?" Victoria's confused gaze fell upon me, finally noticing the thick gauze on my arm. Her face immediately clouded over. "Sincere Clark, when did I ever hit you? You're quite the actor, putting on a show even for my parents." My expression dimmed, and I nodded repeatedly at her words. Yes, you didn't hit me. I did this to myself." The moment I said that, Arthur slapped Victoria across the face. "You disgrace Sincere is injured like this, and you expect us to believe he harmed himself just to frame you?" The slap was harder than intended. Victoria's nose started bleeding. Ethan Davies jumped, startled, and quickly pulled out tissues to dab at her nose. I saw Eleanor's hand clench tightly. I knew this intimate gesture had provoked her. "Victoria Sterling, what do you think you're doing? You may have no shame, but the Sterling family still does." Hearing her mother's rebuke, Ethan's hand froze. He belatedly realized this wasn't the time for displays of affection, and quickly retreated to the side with the tissues, trying to look meek. Victoria's face flushed with anger. "Sincere Clark, have you caused enough trouble?" Slap Arthur delivered another slap. This time, blood trickled from both of Victoria's nostrils. "Shut your mouth, you commit such shameless acts, and you still dare to talk back to your husband. How did I raise such an ungrateful wretch?" Eleanor looked at Ethan standing behind her daughter. "What do you mean by bringing him back here? Are you trying to tell Sincere to make way for him, or are you telling your father and me that you plan on replacing your husband?" Ethan looked utterly innocent, waving his hands frantically. No, I'm just President Sterling's secretary." "Uncle, Auntie, please don't misunderstand." Ignoring the profuse bleeding from her nose, Victoria stepped protectively in front of Ethan. "What nonsense are you talking about? There's nothing going on between us. He's just my secretary." "I haven't cheated." Eleanor grabbed the ashtray from the table and threw it. "You're already having candlelit dinners together. Do you take us for blind fools?" The ashtray missed, but Ethan behind Victoria still cried out in pain. Eleanor sneered. Well, this pretty boy is quite the actor. Knows to cry out even when he's not hit. Afraid no woman will feel sorry for you, are you? Ethan's face paled, realizing he had overacted. He quickly ducked his head, trying to disappear. Dad, Mom, Ethan and I really just have a professional relationship. I can guarantee I haven't cheated. We're innocent. Don't listen to Sincere Clark's nonsense. She grabbed Ethan's hand. You don't believe your own daughter, but you believe an outsider. If you insist on thinking this way, then there's nothing I can do. With that, she pulled Ethan along and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Amidst Arthur's furious shouts, I also stood up to leave. Dad, Mom, since Victoria has said as much, I don't think there's any point in us continuing. There's nothing more to say. I think it's best if we get a divorce. Chapter 7. The next morning, as Marcus Bell walked into the company building, he ran into a beaming Ethan Davies. Seeing his former superior, Ethan adopted an arrogant tone. Hey, you've been fired. What are you doing back here? You offended President Sterling. She won't give you a chance to come back. Just as the words left his mouth, Ethan's expression changed, and he quickly stood straight. Good morning, Mr. Clark. I stood before him, looking down condescendingly. He is now my fully authorized representative, the executive vice president of the Clark Corporation. It's not your place, a mere secretary, to make snide remarks. Inform Victoria Sterling to meet me in the conference room in 15 minutes. Ethan replied cheekily. Mr. Clark, President Sterling has a meeting soon. I'm afraid she won't have time to see you. Is that so? Then tell her. I'm here to discuss our divorce. If she doesn't show up in 15 minutes, I'll burn down her office. In front of the company staff, I patted Ethan's shoulder. Keep up the good work. I'll leave my position for you. As for whether you can end up beside the president, well, that depends on your abilities. 10 minutes later, when a stony-faced Victoria appeared in the conference room, I had already ordered the HR department to fire 2 employees who had openly sucked up to Ethan Davies. I wanted everyone to know, offending Victoria Sterling's chief assistant could lead to a better position at Clark Corporation. But offending Sincere Clark meant packing your bags and getting out. Sincere Clark, causing a scene at the company in broad daylight. What exactly are you trying to do? I remained silent. Marcus Bell, beside me, placed a divorce agreement in front of Victoria, President Sterling. You can review the terms above and then sign at the end. Victoria stared at the divorce agreement, a flash of anger in her eyes. Sincere Clark, what the hell do you want? I pointed to the document before her. To divorce you. Can't you read? I've clearly outlined the division of assets. As for the company, our divorce won't affect the joint projects between our families, but I'll be taking an extra 5% of the year-end dividends. After all, the child will be with me. I can't have my son associated with a mother who likes to stray. That would be embarrassing if it got out. You want to divorce me just because of Ethan Davies? Why should our son go with you? He's my flesh and blood, I waved dismissively. Enough. Since the day he was born, the child has been raised by his grandparents and a nanny at their house. Have you spent even 1 or 2 days with him? Victoria Sterling, I made it very clear to you that time. It was the first time and the last time. Since you care so much about your pretty boy, I'll grant you your wish. Smack. Victoria slammed her hand on the table. Sincere Clark, I've told you countless times I haven't cheated. What do I have to do for you to believe me? I nodded. Oh, I believe you. I know you haven't yet done anything to betray me. Then why are you still insisting on a divorce? I looked directly into her eyes. Because I find you dirty. You used $1 million watch to appease your secretary. You let him take my place at banquets. You had candlelit dinners with him. And you even brought him along when you went back to your parents' house. You saw every social media post he made. Everyone was warning me, and recently more than one person told you that you were getting too close to him, yet you ignored it all. Victoria Sterling, I'm not an idiot. Aren't you implicitly telling me to make way for him by doing all this? If I were constantly seen with another woman, brought her home, had dinner with her at romantic restaurants, took her to meet my parents, and then told you there was nothing between us, just ordinary friends, what would you think? I pointed at the divorce agreement in front of her. Just sign it. I have to take our son to the hospital this afternoon. I don't have time to waste here with you. Victoria froze, staring intently into my eyes. What's wrong with our son? What, you didn't know? Only then did Victoria remember I had called her the day before yesterday, telling her the child had a fever, but she had been too busy at the time and had forgotten about it afterward. Don't trouble yourself. You don't need to worry about our son anymore. A look of disbelief flashed across Victoria's face. What are you talking about? My son, I said. The child is mine. After the divorce I cut her off. He's a child of the Clark family. You'd best stay away. In short, this child has nothing to do with you. He is my son. Since you don't care about him, there's no need for him to acknowledge you as his mother in the future. Sincere Clark, what exactly do you mean? I glanced sideways at her. Exactly what I said. Victoria Sterling, my son doesn't need a fickle mother, nor does he need a mother who enjoys getting overly familiar with her secretary. You may not have cheated yet, but you condoned his provocations against me. You condoned his affection for you and his subtle advances. Today you might hold the line, but who knows if you'll betray me in the future. Victoria Sterling, I dare not gamble, and I don't want to. Rather than weeding when the vegetables are almost ripe, it's better to cut off the conditions for weeds to sprout from the beginning. This child, I will raise him alone. From now on, he will only be my son, with absolutely no connection to you. If you want children, have them with someone else. It's not like you're past menopause. I told you, you are dirty now. I don't want you anymore. Victoria Sterling, let's get divorced. Chapter 8. Ultimately, Victoria Sterling did not sign the divorce agreement that day. As I walked out of the company building, Ethan Davies chased after me. Mr. Clark, please wait. He stood before me, neither servile nor overbearing. Could I talk to you? Say it here. I'm busy. I don't have time for too much nonsense. A shadow crossed his eyes. Mr. Clark, I think you've misunderstood. There's really nothing between President Sterling and me. Stop, I cut him off abruptly. If you just want to feed me this kind of pointless crap, I don't want to hear it. Ethan Davies, everyone has their little schemes, but yours are blatantly obvious, and I find it repulsive. You wear that damned watch every day, pairing it with every outfit, just to constantly remind everyone around you that you are superior in Victoria Sterling's eyes, a special existence different from others. Your social media posts detailing your work routine with her are meant to show off how close you are, boasting about privileges others don't have. You know your presence is inappropriate in certain situations, yet you lack the sense to leave because you're testing the depths of her feelings for you. If you didn't have these intentions, you wouldn't be bragging in the company break room to your so-called friends about tips for winning over a female boss. Ethan's expression changed. How did you know about that? I sighed, because I am still her husband, and they are quite willing to tell me what they hear, rather than keep your secrets. So what? You're still going to divorce President Sterling anyway. Did she sign the divorce papers? A glint of determination flashed in Ethan's eyes. So what? She'll sign eventually. Can you guarantee that if we divorce, you'll definitely take my place? What can you offer her? Do you have a wealthy family background for a powerful alliance? Do you have extensive connections to help her expand the market? Do you have a powerful network to pull strings for her? But I look a lot like her deceased first love. I can help her recapture those beautiful memories. I couldn't help but laugh. So you're just a substitute. You know you're just a fake, someone she could lose interest in at any moment, right? If Victoria Sterling can protect you, then let her protect you well. I'm not exactly a saint myself. Not only do I hold grudges, but I don't wait 10 years for revenge. I usually don't let much time pass. He looked wary. What are you planning to do? If you dare touch me, President Sterling won't let you get away with it. Relax. I just had someone spread the word about your past, making your name mud in this industry. I believe your president Sterling will soon feel the pressure and transfer you out of the assistant department, giving you some meaningless sinecure, or perhaps be more ruthless and fire you outright. After all, as you said, you're just a fake. If you were really her first love, I might not stand much chance, but you're fundamentally just a replacement she uses to reminisce. How much weight do you think a counterfeit holds in her heart?
Oh, right, there's one more thing I forgot to tell you.
I took out my phone and played a video for him. This is the dog you've raised for several years. You even arranged for someone special to walk it, right? My driver accidentally hit and killed it just now. You should receive compensation from my driver for your dog soon. My condolences. Please accept my sympathies. With that, I turned and left, leaving Ethan Davies standing alone at the company entrance, mourning his dog in silence. Chapter 9. I hadn't expected Harry Miller to dig so deep, unearthing Ethan Davies's dirty laundry from high school. He was forced to drop out for assaulting a female teacher. After getting out, he worked as a beer promoter in nightclubs. There, he met a female university president, became her kept lover, and exchanged that for a university diploma. After his arrangement with the president ended, he got involved with a recruitment supervisor, successfully obtained an internal interview opportunity at the company, and relying on his resemblance to Victoria's first love, successfully entered the company and became her secretary. With such a colorful resume, there was no way Harry Miller would pass up the chance to help his buddy settle the score. Within a week, Harry and his wife had spread Ethan's story far and wide. Almost everyone knew that the Sterling heiress had allegedly injured her husband over a pretty boy, and was even forcing him into a divorce. Arthur and Eleanor Sterling could no longer sit still, especially after learning I had filed for divorce. They immediately summoned Victoria back to the family estate for a stern dressing down. When Ethan Davies arrived at the company the next morning, he was met with a termination notice from HR. Ethan refused to accept this reality, demanding to see Victoria. But Victoria directly ordered the security department to throw him out, and incidentally, took back the $1 million watch from his wrist. That evening, Arthur and Eleanor brought Victoria to my home to apologize and beg for my forgiveness. They were met with a furious tirade from my father, Robert Clark. Now you realize you were wrong? Now you remember to come and apologize? Where were you before? She's your daughter. Don't tell me you parents can't control your own child, letting some worthless secretary walk all over my son. You really don't take the Clark family seriously, do you? If it were her first love, the one who saved her life, come back from the dead, I might accept it. But you indulged a fake flaunting himself in front of my son. Do you think our family is easy to bully? I only let my son help out at your company because your family lacks a male heir. Don't tell me you started thinking of my son as some live-in son-in-law you could push around. My son can bring business to your family, and he can just as easily take it away. My grandson's surname is Clark, not Sterling. He doesn't need your daughter scrambling to be his mother. If my son wanted, he could get my grandson a new mother every day my father had hit a nerve, exposing their underlying thoughts. Arthur and Eleanor flushed crimson with embarrassment. Yet for the sake of their grandson and the company, they could only swallow their pride and plead for me to forgive Victoria just this once, to give the Sterling family another chance. Unfortunately, she hadn't appreciated the respect I showed her before. Now I had no intention of giving her another chance. Victoria pestered me for months. Seeing my mind was made up, she finally had to agree to the divorce and obediently signed the papers. On the day we went to the registry office to get the divorce certificates, Harry Miller told me about Ethan Davies's recent situation. He had found another wealthy mistress in another city. However, this mistress wasn't careful enough, and Ethan was discovered by her husband. The husband beat him severely, breaking both his legs. After that, Ethan Davies vanished completely. You see, a proper first love should stay dead, just like Daniel Hayes. Chapter 10. Half a year flew by. My son Leo could already stand and walk. Although he started speaking late, he called out Dad, Grandpa, and Grandma paternal very clearly. When Victoria's parents heard Leo unclearly utter grandma and grandpa maternal, they were moved to tears. Seeing the old couple get a taste of joy, my father forcefully kicked Arthur and Eleanor out, enraging the grandfather desperate to see his grandson. Arthur went home and gave Victoria such a beating she almost ended up hospitalized. After that, the Sterling trio started visiting my house every few days, undeterred by being turned away countless times. I didn't refuse the requests of the child's maternal grandparents to visit. After all, having more people care for the child wasn't a bad thing. Every time the little guy called out Grandma and Grandpa in his baby voice, the old couple would curse Victoria anew. Every time the little guy called Victoria Mama, she would break down on the spot, because I had told my son, "That's not your mama. Don't call her that." Victoria begged me countless times to remarry her, saying Leo couldn't be without a mother, but I refused every time. "Don't worry. In the future, I'll tell the child your mother didn't cheat. She just died." In matters of the heart, forgiving someone once lays the foundation for countless future hurts. I'm not in the habit of placing my heart in someone else's hands. Just as I told her before, that was the first time and the last time. What I have now no longer needs her belated apology. The end.